So I don't watch, is Game of Thrones reference, right? I don't even watch that, so I don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to get pilloried on that, aren't I? Okay. So I think it's a pretty safe assumption that most of us here in this room, or probably all of us, know that the world is changing and that work is changing. And we've seen examples of this. And also we believe that HR needs to play a role in driving that change. But we're in a room here and sometimes we're in an HR bubble, and so how do we convince others outside that bubble or outside this room that we need to do something? And unfortunately what's happened with HR over the years, over decades actually, is a lack of investment. So what's the number one HR tool used around the world? It would be Microsoft Excel, right? So there's been this lack of investment in HR, and it feels like the world around us is moving really quickly, but maybe we're not keeping up. And I love this quote from from Jack Welch: "If the rate of change on the outside exceeds the rate of change on the inside, the end is near." Or maybe the winter is coming is what it should be. There you go. So, how do we then tell this story in a way that resonates with others? So that's part of what I do in my role. Is I work with HR organizations to help them build a case for change, to help them build a narrative, to convince others that we need to lead the change and need to make this happen. So what I want to do is leave you with, hopefully leave you with some takeaways that you can take back to your organization to have this conversation. And I want to summarize kind of what I see as the key challenges in 3 points, and then I'll give you some ways to avoid these challenges. So here's what I see people do wrong. They focus, I think the battery's dying, there we go. They focus on making it about HR. And if you go to a CEO or a CFO, think about the dozens of projects that they've got on their plate and all the people clamoring for resources, investment, time, money, effort. And you come to them and you say, I want to take away the forms that my team in HR has to do, and we're going to enable our people to work better and smarter and faster. They'll be asleep before the end of your sentence. They've got a new country to expand the operation to. They've got a cost reduction initiative that they need to satisfy. They've made commitments to the marketplace that they're on the hook for. So how do we not make it about HR? Because as Jason Averbook says, who are you doing this for? If you're doing it for HR, you'll fail. So we need to think bigger. But people get caught in this trap. People go it alone. They think, I can do this, I know what I'm doing, I'm going to put together my project proposal and I'm going to take it to HR and then to IT, and IT says, oh, sorry, we just completed our 2-year technology roadmap and you guys aren't in it. Sorry about that. Come back and talk to us in 2 years. And so they haven't really kind of brought the right resources or understood what that process is to actually make the change happen in the organization and engage the right stakeholders to do it. Now, I'm making big generalizations here, but really these are the things that are always cropping up. And then make it about technology. So often it starts with a bigger picture of why we're going to serve the business better, we're going to achieve X, Y, and Z outcomes for our customers in the business. But sometimes that fades away over time, and then it becomes the shiny object syndrome, and it's just about the technology. Then you're doing an IT project, you're doing a technology implementation. It's not about the people experience, and it's not about the business. So that's one to avoid as well. So here is some ways to not make those mistakes. So first of all, link to strategy. So starting with that strategy element, what are those commitments that have been made to the marketplace? We need to be business people in HR, not HR people in business, right? So having the commercial and strategic conversations to link what we're doing to the very tangible business outcomes. And sometimes I ask people, what is the strategy of the organization, and they kind of fumble through it. They should know that off by heart. Great quote. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. So people get caught up in the tactics, right? Second one, recruit help. So involve the IT people, involve the finance people, get them involved in that process early on so that you're not caught by surprise at the steering committee meeting or whatever it might be, and someone says, well, you didn't talk to me about that, so I can't agree with that. You want to obviously have all of that lined up in advance. One way to do that is through stakeholder mapping exercises. Yeah, it's very basic and simple, but people neglect to do this. We're really mapping out who are all the people we need to influence, why would they support this, why would they not support this, and what's our action plan to get them on board and get their buy-in before we show up and ask for the investment, the support, the buy-in that we need. And another way to do that is to look at the employee life cycle. So here's an example. How do you find the points that the business people and care about and that are linked to the strategy of the organization, so that you're touching on these, so that when it comes to build the narrative, tell the story, make the case for change, that you're actually hitting the points that those stakeholders care about, and they're going to influence meaningful business outcomes. Last point, stories and data. Data alone is not enough. If I tell you a story, 63% of you are going to remember the story. If I give you a data point, 5% of you are going to remember the data point. So remember that if you haven't forgotten it already, right? So stories are really important. Yes, you need to know how much are we spending on the current solutions we have, how much are we spending on people's time, how much are we, when are our current solutions coming up for the contract renewal, those sorts of things. But if you don't have the story to go with it, it's going to be a little bit flat. A quick example of this, this is just to represent the idea here, but one organization I worked with, they were sending, believe it or not, 300,000 faxes per quarter from their stores to the head office for annual leave approvals. So what they did is they got the big lobby of the building, they made a structure that kind of looked like stacks of paper, put it in the lobby. It was like 10 meters high, and said, this is how much paper we're wasting on faxes, guys. This is crazy. And by the way, we have to teach 16-year-olds what a fax is in our store. And so just making it really tangible, linking the data to the story, and then make it personal as well. This is great, but what about Jessie, who joined 6 months ago, showed up on the first day. Actually, the boss her hiring manager was sick, and nobody knew. She didn't get her laptop for 3 weeks. She got completely frustrated and left after 3 months. So those kind of really tangible stories are a way to make the case for change and make that really resonate with the rest of the business. So in summary, don't make it about HR. Don't go it alone. Don't make it about the technology only. Link it to the strategy. Recruit help. Use stories and data. I'll leave you with one final thought. What year does it feel like in your organization? When you step into the office and you put away your consumer technologies, you put away the processes and things that you like to do in your personal life, and you step into the office and you open up your laptop, what does it feel like you're stepping back in time? Just a really nice, simple, powerful question that you can ask of yourself and your colleagues. I'll leave you with that. Thanks.
Thank you, Russell.